last week, as you know, I found a whole bunch of trash. And here's some broken ass tomato cages. Thrown out. What's wrong with them? Broken welds. They're coming apart. Let's see if we can fix them. Get some free tomato cages. Because the guy that owned them before me was incompetent. Plenty wiggly. Plenty wiggly.
Alright, so let's take a look at these cages and see what needs to be fixed. So, well, obviously the welds are broken. They're also a little bit bent out of shape. So I feel as though I should bend them back first. Using my Gorilla Monsoon strength and my hands of steel. This galvanized rod is no match for my titanium bones. A little kink here. A little adjustment there. You know, you don't gotta get it perfect. It's a fucking tomato cage. A little bit of wiggle here. Get that S out of there. If you need pliers to do this, your hands are soft. So now that I have all that shit kind of bent back, we're going to address this issue. This weld is busted. So I got to connect these again. Yes. Connect. So here's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to go ahead and sand all this garbage off of here. I think this is galvanized. Not quite sure. But if it is, it's best sand all that galvanization off the piece of metal. Make sure it's really clean. At least shiny. And there's nothing more to it than that. First you gotta prep your material. Whatever you're gonna fix. Then you're gonna realize, I'm grabbing the fucking drill. Fuck this. Any way you gotta sand is okay with me. Be it by hand or be it by DeWalt. Make sure it shines. Not only does it shine, but it helps when we're going to repair this, the brass stick to this thing. Alright. Yeah, it seems like it's taking longer than I thought. Let me file these fucking fingernails down. Alright, let's dig around in my shit and see how we're going to fix this. Now, it's not easy holding those pieces of metal together, so I came up with this idea. This piece of metal being from an old patio chair. It'll suffice. First thing I gotta do is take the piece of metal that I want from this piece of metal that I don't want. There it is. One cut. And this is the piece. A little bit of solid stock. Maybe that's a 1/4 inch, maybe under. I just needed it larger than the piece I'm going to be welding on. Power. On. Alright, so now I'm going to take said piece, throw her up on the LeBlanc, slowest setting, and we're going to drill a hole down the middle of it. Got that? Pay attention. You get your hair caught in that motherfucker, you're done. Your watch caught on it, hopefully it'll just break your watch, not wrap you up in this motherfucker. This is called plunging. The drill bit is now plunging into the material, making said hole that I need to make. Well, I cleaned it up, and that hole is all the way through. Doesn't look like much, but here we go. This is why I needed it. Makes my life a fuck of a lot easier trying to weld this thing, and stronger. Now I'm going to weld that together. And if you're saying, oh man, that's not factory, That doesn't look right. It's a fucking tomato cage. Now we're going to braise this motherfucker up. That was type B welding flux. Here. See? Type B. The blue stuff. You mix it with water. Here's the piece. Here's the flux. The piece has already been cleaned in acetone, making sure there's no grease from my hamburgers on there. Insert the piece. Now let's bring the toast to it. This is not a teaching you how to braise video. Maybe one day I'll make one of those. Maybe not. So this is a great learner's project if you want to learn how to braise. I mean, shit, it doesn't even have to look nice. Get that fucker glowing red. Not too hot. Too hot and the braise splatters. Too cold and it doesn't stick. Just right. Pop a like. We're almost done. Here we go. Now keep in mind, this is only a $3 tomato cage we're fixing. $3. And there it is, the finished product. All welded up. Now I went back and I welded all those joints. I just added brass to them, but I didn't film it. So now we're going to show it in its habitat. Now it's not about the $3 saved. It's about fixing shit. Why? Because I fucking can. Tomatoes and peas away.